loves, welcome to another episode of Coffee Chats, a series of alternative perspectives. Before we get into today's episode, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who contributed to last week's episode in the comments. Greatly appreciated. As normal, I've selected 2, and here they are. This comment is from Oracle09, who says, I think the woman on the TV show did not follow the recipe through. From the beginning, she started to inject her own way, claiming she would do this or that instead of how Duchess Meghan used the ingredients. So, before she cooked, she was already insinuating that it did not have enough flavour. How, pray tell, did she know that? The TV lady was disingenuous and she just wanted to showcase her own way by showing her way might be better than Duchess Meghan's way of doing things. It was not about the recipe, it was all about herself, in brackets, TV person. I agree with that. I agree. That's the impression I had all along. And, it made it so obvious. This comment is from Carol Smith 7603, who says, I do enjoy your content. I say you YouTubers do such a remarkable job in bringing content. My only question is, while we enjoy the content, I wish some of you bring attention to mainstream media and call out the crookedness that is put in our faces. Sorry that you didn't call in that show. Meghan's all, in brackets most, of her ingredients were from her garden. Fresh vegetables taste so much better, unlike vegetables that take weeks to get to our pots. I'm planning on trying that skillet pasta. Heard from a few people who've tried it, says it tastes really good. Since I have to go to the grocery to get my veggies, not near a farmer's market, I will probably do mine a little different. Or you know what? I think I will try it Meghan's way first. Yeah, a lot of people have tried that recipe online and they've said it is delicious. So go ahead and do that, Carol. With regard to the first part of your comment, I agree that I should have called them. The only reason I didn't call them is because I've contacted shows like this before on multiple occasions and I get weary of doing that because it has no effect. I've never shared this with you guys before because it's like, well, it's pointless. I can speak to you on my channel. And I'm just a tiny voice in the sea of so much negativity and my voice just gets lost. So I thought it'd be more effective to just speak to you guys because I know some of you actually do share my videos. But yeah, I get your point. It is very frustrating. So I take that on board. Thank you for your contribution, both of you. And thank you for everybody that actually wrote in the comments. I saw so many and you took the time to make your feelings known at length, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you guys, thank you. Next, what's your beverage of choice today? I've just picked up a nice rich velvety hot chocolate with some marshmallow pieces on the top. It looks just how it sounds, very yummy. So I'm going to enjoy that while I talk to you, and I hope you guys are enjoying what you're drinking. Just let me know in the comments. So in today's episode, I wanted to talk about the idea of being able to rise above it all. Rising above negative circumstances. I was prompted to do this based on Meghan's dad piping up. I guess he ran out of money. This article comes from theexpress.co.uk, published on March 16th, 2025. And the headline reads, Meghan Markle sad and angry after Father Thomas's brutal remarks on Netflix show. An expert has revealed what the Duchess of Sussex may be going through after her father and half-brother criticised her show. An expert has revealed what Meghan Markle may be going through after her estranged father joined in criticism of her new Netflix show. The Duchess of Sussex's dad, Thomas Markle, made the surprising remark following the release of his daughter's cooking series, With Love Meghan, which aired for the first time on March 4th. While fans of the former Suits star 43 welcomed her return to the screen, other reviewers were less impressed. The Telegraph gave the show 2 stars. It is, to put it kindly, insane, an exercise in narcissism, filled with extravagant brunches, celebrity pals, and business plugs. Meanwhile, The Guardian's review said, "Kiss the Netflix deal goodbye. With Love Meghan is so pointless it might be the Sussexes' last TV show." Meghan's dad also weighed in, telling the Mail, "Everything she says is pre-planned and rehearsed. It makes me laugh because I know all her looks and expressions. I know when she's faking it for the cameras. She's trying so hard to be perfect that she tenses up every time the camera is on her." However, the retired TV lighting director admitted that he hasn't watched the whole show, but has seen clips. Thomas Markle is not thought to have been in touch with his daughter since her marriage to Prince Harry in 2018. Their relationship is believed to have suffered after Thomas was allegedly caught collaborating with a paparazzo to stage photos before her wedding, which he was then absent from, though the 80-year-old cited his recovery from heart surgery as the reason, as per the Irish Star. Meghan's half-brother, Thomas Markle Jr., has also offered a less than flattering assessment of Meghan's new series, saying, "Halfway through, I realised there's something better I could be doing with my time." Stephen Walters, a psychologist that specialises in trauma and brain spotting therapy, told OK Magazine, the public reminder the now reportedly distant relationship between her and her dad's side of the family may have been hurtful to her. "It's similar to couples who divorce and wish they could just go their own way to forget each other forever," he said. "But if you share blood and DNA as Meghan does with her family, there's always going to be a connection. They're always going to be entwined and entangled in a way. When there's an estrangement, whatever form that takes, it can be painful and hurtful to be reminded of that connection," he added. "The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So the fact that these people still feel a need to talk about Meghan suggests there are still feelings there, maybe sadness and anger and grief, and it's probably the same for Meghan too," he continued. "It brings up that sense that they're still emotionally connected on some level." He added that the Duchess seems to be processing it in her own way, whether that might be through therapy or talking to Harry. "We don't know what she's doing. But bringing it into the public sphere isn't edifying and it doesn't serve anyone well," he argued. Meanwhile, Meghan, I think they've written this paragraph wrong. Meanwhile, Meghan says the series feels like a new chapter that I'm so excited that I get to share, and I've been able to learn from all of you. The second season of the Duchess's show, which made it into the 10 most watched programs list on Netflix, is coming in the autumn and has already finished filming, according to the streaming platform. Now, speaking personally, I know myself, I'm a strong person, okay guys, but I know that I would not be able to withstand the weight of criticism and scrutiny, negative attention that Meghan undergoes on a minute by minute basis. We can't even say daily, it's minute by minute. Online constantly. Attack. These Rottweilers, they're so voracious. Their appetite is never satiated because they literally live to demonize Meghan. You'll hear Meghan's critics and detractors say that she's shunned the paternal side of her family, which I like to call the ratchet side of her family. That word ratchet is usually applied to someone who looks like Meghan's mum. But through all of these years of seeing her daughter berated, castigated, vilified, literally hated, Doria has never run to the papers and taken their offers of hundreds of thousands and millions to speak against her daughter. That is her daughter. Her one daughter. But like I said, the ratchet side of her family, they're a different breed. They're a completely different breed. And I always say that age doesn't necessarily accompany wisdom, because you would have thought that Samantha Grant, being closer in age to Meghan's mum, would have behaved with the same maturity as Meghan's mum, but that is not the case. You would have thought the same would apply to Thomas Markle Jr. But again, when you look at the way he lives his life and his character, it doesn't apply. When you look at their father, who is 80 now, I believe, you would have thought that he would have been the wisest of that bunch. But to me, this man is easily led, easily manipulated, bitter and regretful. What I've seen with these three, or the triad as I like to call them, they share similar character traits, unsurprisingly. Blaming others for your problems. This is a general overview broken down. Blaming others for your problems, often called deflection, is a defense mechanism where individuals attribute negative events to external factors instead of taking responsibility, potentially avoiding feelings of guilt, shame, or anger. Why we blame others? Deflection. Blaming others is a way to avoid taking responsibility for our mistakes or behaviours, preserving self-esteem by portraying ourselves as victims of circumstance. Emotional regulation. It can be a strategy to manage difficult emotions like guilt, shame, or anger by shifting the focus away from oneself. Maintaining a positive self-image. By blaming others, individuals can try to maintain a positive self-image by avoiding acknowledging their own shortcomings. Projection. Some people may project their own negative qualities or behaviours onto others, making them seem like the bad guy to avoid facing their own flaws. People online behave as if they don't have any drama within their own families, pointing the finger at Meghan, while three are pointing back towards them. And they always conveniently forget that Ashley Hale, Samantha Grant's child, one of her children, actually has a close relationship with Meghan. They forget that Samantha Grant has no relationship with any of her children at all, but Samantha Grant is held up as this victim because she's in a wheelchair. And I'm going to say something that may offend you, but I'm going to say it anyway. Just because one has a disability, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a nice person. I'll say that again. Just because one has a disability, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a nice person. Samantha Grant has shown you who she is. Thomas Markle Jr. and Thomas Markle Sr. have shown you who they are. 1 minute they'll say everything negative under the sun about Meghan, and when she gives no reaction, they say something nice. And when she still doesn't say anything, they go back to being how they are, hateful, bitter, and horrible. By making their feelings public, they're pushing Meghan further and further away. You can love someone from a distance, you don't have to have any engagement with them, and they seem to think that the more they speak, it will draw her out. They're trying to bait her cause a reaction from her. But from what I understand about Meghan, she knows that by reacting, it will add to the drama. Meghan is better than that. She is not about to let her children see her have a public argument with her paternal side of the family. These three members of the paternal side of Meghan's family will never get to know the grandchildren, stroke, niece and nephew. The only person from that side of the family that has that privilege is Ashley Hale. And you don't think they've gone to Ashley to try and get comments from her for a price. But what I've noticed, the people that are close to Meghan, they will never betray her confidence, because being a part of Meghan's life is worth much more than any money in the world. It's similar to William. William has friends who will never betray his trust. Charles has friends who will never betray his trust. So why is it that Meghan is castigated for even having friends that will never betray her trust? If Meghan is so awful, why would her friends stay with her after all these years? Why would her friends want anything to do with her? Why would people in the industries that she's involved in have any type of engagement with her? Let's hear what her former bodyguard had to say.
Before Harry met Meghan, she was an actress living in Toronto. You may have heard. That's when our next guest's role as her security protection changed drastically. Joining us live is the former security for Meghan Markle and the VP of Risk Management with Focus One Group, Steve Davies, in studio. Mr. Davies, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here.
So when did you come into the picture? Because as we were talking just before we came up here, and there were windows of the relationship between Harry and Meghan, obviously. When did you and your security team come into the picture, and who was paying for it?
Well, once the announcement was made that Harry and Meghan were dating, everything just took off. And there was some rumors prior to the announcement, and we had some paparazzi outside the house. Once the announcement was made, NBC Studios contacted me and asked if I was available to provide the security protection for Meghan, because things were just getting out of control. There was death threats coming in. The people were trying to get onto the paparazzi were trying to get onto the studios and everything else. So I moved in, the announcement was made, and it went from 3 paparazzi outside the house to 50 paparazzi and the satellite trucks and everything else.
Wow.
So the complete neighborhood was disrupted. You know, it was a quiet neighborhood. You could walk her dogs. The cleaners would come in and everything else. Once the announcement was made, all of this shut down, and the paparazzi were trying to get into everything.
And usually we're seen as a very low-key city, which is why stars find it attractive, because you don't get bothered. And all of a sudden, in the documentary, the series, they show she had to close her windows, that neighbors were being talked into buying cameras to spy and feed them info. There were tarps that had to be built around her show, Suits, and that's the only way they could actually still film the show safely. And she felt sort of bad about all the attention that was given to her, but it was something that had to be done. You saw it yourself.
Yeah, it was very, very difficult for her to go from being a celebrity on a show to being part of the #1 family in the world.
What's the craziest thing you saw during that initial period, during the dating period?
Well, we were transporting her around from studio. If you needed to go downtown or anything, she couldn't go out shopping or anything else. Craziest thing, we were getting chased by vehicles with the paparazzi.
Here.
When you say chased, how fast are you talking?
Well, we're doing the speed limit, and they're right up our back end of the vehicle. We're going down alleys to try and get away
right in the back, like dangerously close.
Dangerously close. Which, for civilians, it can cause a traffic accident and everything else. You know, there's 2 types of paparazzi I look at. You've got the media, people that want to interview, and then you've got the photo guys. One thing with the photo guys is the fact that they're trying to get the best shot they can for $1 million.
So they're more dangerous.
They're more dangerous. They'll do what they need to do. I mean, we had neighbors complaining because paparazzi were knocking on the window, knocking on the door, asking if they could get into the bedroom that was looking over the garden to get shots.
Oh my gosh.
You know, this is the sort of stuff. And psychologically, for Meghan, it was stressful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
You know, thank you for bringing that up. Because I know there are people watching this, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a similar thought, and I think you can speak to this, who think this of someone who marries into the royal family. Because it's not a normal family, as we know. If Princess Diana had to deal with it, if Kate Middleton had to deal with it, if the Queen Consort, we forget sometimes,
yes,
but the Queen Camilla had to deal with it, what's the difference now with Meghan?
Okay. With the Queen Consort, with Diana, and with Kate, they're in England. They've had a lot of transparency to that sort of lifestyle. With Meghan, she's in North America, okay? She's probably seen a lot of that on TV, or you couldn't contemplate how bad it was going to get. Mm. And because it's Harry, the media are all over it. You know, he was the rogue of the royal family and everything else. He's a great guy. But again, because it's Meghan and Harry, and you've got the African-American influence on it and everything else, that took it to another level.
As Meghan said in the doc, and it was one of the more interesting things that I saw, sometimes when you call authorities, they're like, well, we can't do anything. They're sitting in their car. Like, what do you want us to do? And I would agree with her. It's pretty unsettling to have people, when you know there's people sitting around your home.
But legally, they're allowed to be there.
But legally, what can you do? So, final thought on that, like, how do people get over that hurdle? Because they're going to face that with law enforcement.
I mean, with the Meghan situation, she was in the middle of no man's land because she wasn't an international protected person because she wasn't part of the royal family. The police were not obliged to provide protection for her because, again, she wasn't an IPP. So she was taking her own measures to try and fix certain problems, but the problem she came to was she couldn't do anything about it. Toronto police, once I come on board, we were coordinating the security arrangements and everything else, and they were great. They responded and everything else. But people like Meghan, people like high net worth clients, their business is not security. So when you need advice on security, reach out to an expert. And that's the
And by the way, thank you for doing what you do, literally putting yourself in harm's way every single day for other people. Like, that's an incredibly noble thing that you do, an incredibly brave thing. I hate that your profession has to exist, but thank you for being the one to do that. It's commendable. One last thing, if you want people at home to know something about Meghan from experience, because there's so much crap still out there, what do you want it to be?
She's an honest, truthful person. She's good-hearted, and she will go out and help anybody at any time.
Thank you.
So, when we talk about the triad, I remember when Meghan was married before, they didn't come out of the woodwork. When she was on Suits, they didn't come out of the woodwork. Nothing from these family members until she was connected to Harry. But the lack of decorum, the ratchetness that has been consistent over the years. And you know their health is not a priority because they want you to feel sorry for them. That's why Thomas Markle Sr. made such a big deal about him not being able to attend the wedding because of heart surgery. Now, some reports claim that he never had heart surgery. They checked with the hospital and he was never admitted. I don't know what went on. But what I'm not going to say sure of, but what I am convinced of is that Samantha Grant is the master manipulator behind all of this. You talk about bullying. This woman, as far as I can see, has bullied her dad into submission. Meghan wanted her dad at the wedding. She didn't ask her half-brother and sister to the wedding. And as far as Samantha Grant was concerned, in her mind, she may have thought, well, if I can't go, Dad's not going to go. This is just my perspective, guys. You don't have to agree, but this is what makes sense to me. Because if Thomas Markle doted on Meghan, I think Meghan was his favourite. Samantha Grant is resentful of that. Thomas Markle Jr. is resentful of that. And Samantha Grant in particular, she wanted to destroy that relationship. And she has done everything in her power to achieve that goal. She's achieved it. Not understanding that this is the legacy that Thomas Markle will leave, because he doesn't have that much longer on the planet. If his health is failing, he doesn't have that much longer left. When it was his 80th birthday, and he was saying that the only thing that will make me happy is if I hear from Meghan. Okay, you hear from Meghan, and then you're going to go and report it to the papers. This is what Meghan said. This is the message she left me, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll also add to that she wasn't sincere, because you've done that before. But then before you even do that, you'll run it past your older daughter first to vet and see how you can both manipulate that. Toxicity at the highest level, guys. And people wonder why Meghan wants nothing to do with them. Why would you let that poison into your life? And as I said, it's not the entire ratchet side of Meghan's family that she excludes, because she is very close to her niece. They are like sisters, according to both of them. You don't think Samantha Grant is jealous of that relationship? You don't think that she's tried everything in her power to destroy that particular relationship? But Ashley is not dumb. She's seen her mother for what she is. She knows her mother was very cruel from the very beginning. This is why Ashley and her brother went to live with their paternal grandparents, not Samantha's parents. Even Thomas Markle's first wife, before she died, said that Samantha is bitter. I'm unable to cite the source of this particular piece because I only came across it on X. And this is apparently what Rosalind Markle said about her own daughter, Samantha Grant. Rosalind passed away last September. She's a user. She is 100% user. Rosalind added, "She is not a warm, sweet, loving person. I'm her mother and I walked away about 3 years ago because she's such an abusive person. She's my daughter, but I didn't raise her to be like that." The 71-year-old also disputed Grant's account of her upbringing with Meghan, telling this website that far from raising the actress until she was 12, as she had previously claimed, the 52-year-old moved out shortly after Prince Harry's girlfriend was born. She said, "You know why she moved out when Meghan was born? Because she didn't want to listen to any squalling babies. She moved out of the house because she didn't want to live with or listen to a squalling baby, and because she didn't want to be the nanny or the babysitter. She said that to her dad." Rosalind continued, "We're just terribly upset that she is getting away with this stuff. She has done a 180 twice now. She's turned from being the scheming bee into someone who's sweet, trying to be sweet to get into Meghan's good graces, and now she's doing the flip again." This is what I said earlier, guys. "She has threatened to write all kinds of terrible stories about the people who live in Albuquerque, the family, and all kinds of crap, and it's just not fair." But you know why I have so much respect for Meghan? Because, as I say, the weight of criticism, hate, and vilification, she has risen above it all.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? just because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just because I laugh, as if I have gold mines digging in my own backyard. You can shoot me with your words, you can cut me with your lies, you can kill me with your hatefulness, but just like life, I rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh. Does it come as a surprise that I dance as if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain I rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling and bearing in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, wow. There I go.
They try to hold this woman hostage, not understanding that she is her own person. Now, when Thomas Markle talks about she owes me, I've done everything for her. Hello, do you want a trophy for that? That's your job as her dad. You don't get any extra credit for doing what you're supposed to do as her parent. She never rejected you. She never shunned you. She wanted you to be by her side. She wanted you to walk her down the aisle. But because of your naivety, because you're easily manipulated, you decided to listen to your older daughter. That's not Meghan's fault. That is your fault. And this is the price you have to pay for your stupidity. Meghan can love you from a distance. When you decide that you're going to be the dad that she needs you to be, maybe before you pass away, you'll get to meet your grandchildren. But as long as you are happy to be manipulated by your other kids, you can kiss your grandchildren goodbye. You don't even have a relationship with your other grandkids that came before Archie and Lily. So what's the real issue? The real issue is you cannot deal with Meghan's indifference. Meghan, I don't believe Meghan hates her dad. I don't believe that for 1 minute. But just like the psychologist Stephen Walters said in the Daily Express article, the opposite of love is indifference. Indifference is powerful. But those that swallow every word that Thomas Markle Sr., Thomas Markle Jr. and Samantha Grant say are no better than them. This is not new to Meghan. Meghan has had years of this. Why would she waste her time worrying about what her dad and her half-sister and her half-brother say about her show, about her life, about her marriage to Harry? Why would she worry about those things? She has a devoted mother who would never betray her. She has a devoted husband who will always defend and protect her. She has a group of very close, very loyal friends who will never betray her confidence. Her half-siblings and her father don't have anything like that. So of course they're going to be bitter. Of course they're going to be resentful. Of course they're going to be full of hate. And those negative attitudes will give them even more of what they're attracting. Unfulfilled, unproductive, uninspiring, unenviable lives. Anyway, guys, it's over to you. Every time, for some reason, when I see this man's name, Thomas Markle, I know it will never be good news. It will never be anything positive. And I'm ready to say my piece. At the end of the day, my opinion doesn't matter. But what matters to me is your opinion. That's why I want you to get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this, guys. Have you had any experience of toxic family members? I know some of you have because you've mentioned it before. If you're willing to share your experiences, please do. Please let us know how you have dealt with a situation similar to what Meghan's going through. Is it something that still bothers you? Is it something that still eats away at you? Or have you resigned yourself to the fact that you're going to live your life and you're going to live it in a positive way, and you're not responsible for other people's thoughts, ideas and actions and opinions of you? Do you have a strong support system around you? Or do you feel isolated and alone, which drives you back to those toxic family members because that's the only thing you know? Guys, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, and as always, I will select 2 and feature them in the next episode. In the meantime, guys, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for meeting me for coffee today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we shall catch up again very soon.